Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the I Am the Possible podcast experience, the place where possibilities become perspective and where your value is valued. Does that make sense? Well, if it doesn't make sense, it's about to make sense in just a moment. Listen, today we're talking about the keeping up with culture, the keeping up with culture. And today I'm going to be sharing with you the importance of learning your value, keeping up with your value, keeping up with what you bring to the table, keeping up with who you are, keeping up with why you are, keeping up with what you are, keeping up with yourself. Because what I've discovered in this keeping up with culture is that we have been conditioned over many, many years, intentionally taught to know more about others than we know about ourselves, to think about others more than we think about ourselves, to care for others more than we care for ourselves, to know more details of another person's life than we know about ourselves, about our own. That's the culture that we live in today, where other people get more attention than we give ourselves. It's keeping up with everyone else except ourselves. And it's damaging. It's damaging to our careers. It's damaging to our families. It's damaging to our marriages. It's damaging to our relationships. It's damaging on our legacy, our lineage. It's damaging so many areas of our lives, but it goes under the radar, undetected. It's rarely ever addressed, and it's rarely ever unpacked and brought to the forefront. It's not sexy. It's not what we find interesting. No one really wants to talk about self-discovery. No one really wants to talk about, right, working on self, right? Therapy is the last thing that we'll, be willing to pay for, right? Introspection is the last thing that we'll give time or allot time to. Going in and having those hard conversations with ourselves, that's the last thing that we want to engage in. However, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to announce that is the problem. The one area in life that doesn't get the promo, that doesn't get the highlight reel, that doesn't get the trailer, the one area in life that ain't getting millions and millions and millions of dollars pushed behind it is the one area that is destroying us the most. We can take it back to Genesis, all the way back. It was a questioning about our value. It was a questioning about who we were. It was a questioning about what we were. It was a questioning about our adequacy. How adequate are you? Are you enough? Was at the forefront of what we know today as Christians or just people of faith, what we know today as the fall of man. That was the questioning. That was what the conversation was centered around. Were you and I adequate? And it's still plaguing us today. Are you adequate? That's the question. Whether we can identify it, whether we can articulate it, whether we can point it out. Whenever there is self-doubt, wherever there is a lack of confidence, wherever there is a lack of competency, wherever there is a lack of our ability to green light ourselves to go forward in the pursuit of the things rather God has told us to do, we know we should be doing, we desire to do, we desire to accomplish, we want to create, we want to elevate, we want to bring to life anything that we want to do, and we get that big old stop sign of life saying, no, 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 pump the brakes. You don't dare go into that territory. You don't dare go forward. You don't dare try this out. Wherever that shows up, guess what else shows up? A lack of appreciation for ourselves. If we knew what we really were, who we really were, what we're really working with, it is my belief that we would see more entrepreneurs, we would see more thought leaders, we would see more creatives, we would see more men and women doing life at the highest level, enjoying life at the highest level, contributing to life at the highest level, and being of service at the highest level. These are the foundations of life. We are all contributors. We were all created to contribute. As one wise man once said, we were all made to make, created to create, to play in our happy space, to make the world a better place. Right? That's what we're here to do. For God said, let them increase, multiply, have dominion, which is stewardship, right? Multiply, create, do some things, cultivate the garden, watch over it. Entrusted resources God has given us for us to do amazing things with. But we live in a keeping up with culture. And today I'm going to be drilling down on particularly one family that has just embodied this. I think they were the trailblazers for this in many ways, right? I'm going to be talking about the Kardashians today, right? Keeping up with the Kardashians, keeping up with culture. You fill in the blank. But today I'm going to talk about the Kardashians specifically. I've already kind of jumped into this because I'm so fired up today. So let me break this whole thing down, right? The problem, let's start with the problem. The problem is many of us have God-given gifts, talents, abilities, dreams, hopes, desires, and we want to do life much better. We want to be more productive. We want to be prolific at what it is that we have an interest in. But many of us fall short of reaching those additional levels of excellence in life and productivity in life. And you can even say it, right? It's not about the whole prosperity gospel foolishness, but many of us want to prosper. It just means to do well, okay? Prosper in so many different areas of our lives, whether it's our relationship, whether it's our careers, whether it's, in school, whether it's in entrepreneurship, whether it's in nonprofits, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, you want to do better in it. And many times, because we've been taught to devalue ourselves, right? We've been taught to place value on others and what others have going on and what others are doing, that it has a direct effect on our ability to value ourselves. It's a rare thing to find someone who is able to greatly appreciate others, celebrate others, while maintaining a healthy appreciation for themselves. That's the great balance. I look at you and I say, you're great. I look at you and I say, wow, thank God for you. I look at you and I say, wow, keep going. I'm going to clap. I'm going to cheer. I'm going to honor what God is doing in and through your life. Simultaneously, I'm going to greatly value, appreciate, champion, celebrate, clap for everything God is doing through me as well. You see how that works? It's usually a huge imbalance because of this keeping up with culture. Now, I want to draw your attentions to some things. Early on in our educational system, if you were anything like me, you grew up with the classics. Christopher Columbus discovered America. Martin Luther King marched and was assassinated. Abe Lincoln, signed the X, Y, and Z. This person did X, Y, and Z for this situation. The list goes on and on. I don't have a lot of them top of mind, but the educational system was very, let's learn about others, the history of America, the history of this, the history of that, other people, what people discovered, what people have done, what they've accomplished. It was set up so that outside of like math, English, maybe science, some of those basic classes, everything else was about learning other people's culture, other people's accomplishments, other people's this and that. And what happened was we began to just create this complete flow of learning and being interested in other people's lives. And there was a huge gap created when it came to learning and knowing about ourselves. You usually elementary school levels, right? Classes, elementary through, let's say, eighth grade, even through middle school, right? You ask a child, hey, you know, um, what is it that you've learned about yourself? You know, let's say you take an eighth grader, and I'm just throwing something out there, and then I'll get to my point, okay? Because I'm just kind of, I don't want to get too far off track, but you take like an eighth grader, and you say, hey, how much do you know about you? How many classes have you taken about you? How many courses have you taken about you? How much has the school books that you've read told you about you, like learning how you work, how you operate? Anything about you, discovering your likes, your dislikes, how you're created, right? What it is that you're supposed to be doing. How much of that was instilled in those early formative years? Not much of any. You go into high school and there's just more of the same. You're figuring things out. But there is no education in saying, hey, let's take some information about you and let's go ahead and unpack that. Let's go ahead and embrace that. Let's go ahead and highlight that. No, many of us, if you're anything like me, you graduated from high school knowing a little math, just enough to get by, or maybe you were super intelligent, whatever, but you knew some math, you had a general idea of science. You maybe knew some historical facts with history. And if you took any specialty courses, you might have known some other things. But you didn't graduate high school and get pushed out into this world in America. I'm speaking the American context. At 18, graduating, walking across the stage, and you just are well equipped with knowing much about yourself. And now it's even worse because by the time you graduate and walk across stage, you've already had a phone. You've already been on social media. You've already got a TikTok account, IG account, Facebook account, whatever else they got out there account, Twitter, X, whatever account, right? Snapchat. And you've already been engulfed with other people's lives. Do you realize that social media, when you scroll through it, it's like 100% others? I'm not saying that it's evil, that it's wrong, that it's bad. Use social media for whatever you're going to use it for. It can be used for a lot of great things. But what I'm peeping game on is, if that's what's holding our attention, right? If social media, if media is holding our attention, last time I checked, it's rare that I can cut the news on and hear anything about me. It's rare that I can cut the television on and see anything about me. It's rare, because I'm not a big celebrity, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying, for the average American, for the average person listening to this podcast, when was the last time you scrolled through Facebook or scrolled through Instagram or scrolled through TikTok or Threads or whatever you're on, and you learned about you? You saw you were highlighted. Now, I've got social media accounts, so sometimes my own content comes through the feed, but that's once or twice. But that's something I'm putting out there. I'm talking about keeping up with you, keeping up with your life. If I was to ask you, right, in the last 365 days, how much have you learned about you? What new about you have you learned? What's the latest, right? What's up with you? What do you know about you? What's top of mind about you, right? Because we can keep up with, and I'm going to go ahead and start moving into this. We can keep up with the Kardashians and know exactly what's going on. Last episode, girl, did you see? Man, last season, did you see? And now it's a cliffhanger, and I can't wait to season so and so. And I'm guilty of it as well. I got a few shows that I watch with my wife. I got a few shows that I watch on some of these cable channels, and they leave you with a cliffhanger, and you're ready for the next season, right? I'm not saying that I'm above the crowd, right? I'm just saying that when it comes to our ability to know ourselves, and the lack of that, and how it's directly connected with a keep up with culture, it's a problem that needs to be addressed more and more. It needs to be unpacked more and more. Now, let me give you some statistics with keeping up with the Kardashians, which is now the Kardashians. Okay. Before I jump into this, into some of these statistics, I don't want to forget saying this. and this is really at the crust of this, so I'm going to circle back with you on this one. The more or the better you can relate with yourself, the more and the better you can create for yourself. Okay? I'm going to say that one more time for the people way, way, way in the back. All right? The more you can relate with yourself, the more you can create for yourself. The better you can relate with yourself, the better you can create with yourself. Why is that important? Goes back to my first point. There are things within you, hopes, dreams, desires, visions, work, right? The work, the kingdom of God. There are things that are within you that are not being realized because you don't know how to relate very well to yourself. One of the culprits, one of the hindrances, one of the problems to your ability, our ability to relate better to ourselves is that we have been trained, taught, conditioned since little people, right? Formative years. We've been taught, conditioned, trained to know more and to even desire to know more about other people's lives than we do our own. That's a problem. That's a freaking problem. That is a freaking problem. It looks innocent on the surface. I know that. When you send your child to school, I got 4 children, right? 4 adult children now. But when we sent them to school, they took tests, quiz, exams, assessments, all based on retention, retaining information about someone else. They had to retain it. It was all about you knowing about someone else's life long enough to get a grade that would allow you to move on. It's actually woven in. You pass, you advance, you up level, the more you can retain about someone else. This is stuff I'm peeping game on. And maybe it wasn't done intentionally, or maybe it was. But it's just interesting to me how this whole structure is set up. And no one's talking about it. No one's talking about it. So I'll talk about it. Mr. Value Yourself guy, right? Mr. I am the possible guy, right? Mr. Love Yourself, see your value guy. I'll talk about it, right? I'll hopefully help to balance the scales a little bit, right? So that's what's at stake. That's the problem. So let me read you some of these statistics, man. Let me put my glasses on because this is some amazing stuff. All right. First thing, keeping up with the Kardashians. This is the original YouTube channel, 2.2 million subscribers. That's 2.2 million people that said keeping up with the Kardashians is worth my time. Let's look at some of these statistics, right? That's current. Now they've morphed into the Kardashians, which I don't think they have their own YouTube channel for that one. But I just did a little researching on their viewership. Last year, which is the latest statistics, season 5 of their show, globally, they're looking at 3.9 million viewers that tuned in to the episode, right? That was the kickoff premiere. 3.9 million viewers tuned in. Now, on average, they're getting, let's see, where's my statistics? On average, they're getting, let me go back to my little screenshots here. So on average, they're looking at about 1.4 million viewers per episode. 1.4 million viewers per episode. Every time these Kardashians do something, 1.4 million people are interested in knowing what they're doing. It's a lot of people. Now, I know if we wanted to do a comparison globally versus, but I'm talking also about people with televisions, electricity, like people that are in living conditions where they can actually watch. Like their living conditions are comfortable enough in which they are able to watch. Okay, because there are some third world countries where they're not keeping up with nothing because they just don't have the technology. But for those of us good old US of A's folks who have the technology and have the ability, 1.4 million viewers per episode. Back when it first started, it was up to 1.9 million viewers per episode. That is a lot of viewers that's keeping up with culture. I guess my main point here, and I was even looking at some of the other statistics, which let's see, I thought I had them in front of me. Yes. So right now on YouTube, when they release an episode, I just did a tally of the last couple of episodes just to run some quick numbers. And this is not like rocket science. I just ran some numbers. For the last 5 episodes, they're averaging 43 million views per episode on their YouTube channel. That's current today, right? 43 million, or I'm sorry, not 43 million. Sorry. 43,000 views per YouTube episode. So on average, 43,000 people are tuning in to watch the Kardashians do whatever they're doing, right? 9 times out of 10, as I'm scrolling through these titles, it's basically saying, Courtney lashes out at so and so, or Kim starts a new so and so, or Kylie does so and so. What they're doing is they're calling out the individual Kardashian and what that person is doing. Now, obviously, even if you took a 24-hour period of time, they're only getting snippets, right? As the show follows them around, they're doing whatever they're doing, and they're taking bits and pieces and they're editing it. And then they're saying, okay, we're going to base this episode on what Kim did, or we're going to base this episode on what Chloe did, or what Courtney did. We're going to base these episodes on whatever this situation is. Now, I'm not going to get into the drama because obviously a lot of it is built on drama. We're entertained by drama. We like drama if it ain't our drama, like, right? So long as we can watch it and we can be entertained with it. And this is not me demonizing it. This is not me coming down on it. I have no problem with the Kardashians. I ain't got nothing against none of them. Don't know them personally. What I'm calling out is the attention. What I'm calling out is what I'm peeping game on is that we have people that are hyper, and this is a very small sample size, hyper emotionally, mentally, psychologically involved, committed, connected, engaged with other people's lives. Now, I could have used some of these other big streamers, right? And maybe I will in the future to make an even greater point. I used the Kardashians this time because they literally had a show called Keeping Up With. But I see it as a cultural thing, the keeping up with culture. But they literally had the show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It was literally saying, hey, us Kardashians, we are so worthy of your attention that we're going to have the audacity to create a show called Keep Up With Us. Watch us. Like, hey, cameras, follow us around. Hey, America, or even the global audience. Hey, guys, we matter so much that you need to take an hour or 2 hours or whatever, or binge and watch our lives. That's literally what we're watching someone else's life. Here's my problem. And here's what I wanted to address. And then I'll go ahead and shut her down for this one. I'm curious to know how many people who are keeping up with the Kardashians, how many people who are keeping up with whoever you're keeping up with. I want to know how many people are achieving in life what they desire to achieve. Let that one sit on you for a minute. I want to know how many people are keeping up with the Kardashians but still have enough time to then keep up with themselves. Like, are you able to keep up with the Kardashians? You are a subscriber, you watch them, You know everything about them. You know what they had for breakfast last week. You know their favorite outfit. You know their favorite restaurant. Like, you are keeping up with the Kardashians. I want to know how many of them people that are keeping up with them are keeping up with themselves. If I were to ask them, how much do you know about you? How much do you know about your life? Where you were, where you are, and where you're going? This is the problem, because this is such a small sample size. To be honest, a 2 million subscriber YouTube channel is a small sample size. There are cats out there now, hundreds of millions of subscribers. Hundreds of millions. There are some people right now that are streaming, one of which I might do an episode on in the future. Kai Cenat, Mr. Beast. Who else? I Show Speed. These young boys is doing it crazy. They wilding. They are wilding. Hundreds of thousands of dollars per stream. They banking, and I'm not mad at them at all. My issue, what I'm here to call out, is how many people, when you do a 24-hour stream and you got kids and grown folks staring at a screen, staring at you do whatever you doing, I want to know how many of them got enough time to then go off and pursue their dreams. That's my only thing. How many of them feel good about themselves? How many of them will be inspired and feel good enough about themselves and know enough about themselves in which they will then implement their strategies, and they'll see their dreams come true, and they'll live in a big house, and they'll drive fancy cars, and they'll have this and they'll have that. And it's not about things, but it is about the producing of one's potential that is at risk. If we are so enamored, if we are so involved with keeping up with someone else's life, and you get to fill in the blank, keeping up with whatever your thing is, fill in the blank for you, whether it's on television, whether it's on your laptop, whether it's on your phone, your iPad, whatever little screen is eating up all your time, man. Right? Are you keeping up with you? What do you know about you? What's your spiritual gift? What's your talent? What's your passion? What's your skill set? What's your mission in life? What's your mission statement? What are you going to contribute? What's going to be your legacy? What are you going to leave behind? Who are you doing things for? What's happening with your life? Where are you going? Where will you be as the classic job interview might ask you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Where do you see yourself in 20 years? What do you see yourself doing? And why do you believe that you'll be there? That's the questions, man. I'm not feeling the keeping up with culture, not because these people that are on screen are bad people. They're probably great people. I'm just like, I wish we all could do our thing. Yeah. You know, I decided a long time ago, and it's crazy because it's coming full circle when I do a lot of introspection. I do a lot of inner work. It's crazy. Back when I first started dreaming, and I first started writing dreams out, and I first started thinking about, man, what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with my life? It's crazy coming full circle that I remember a statement that I made. These are sometimes these are the most reliable statements, the ones that just come up out of your spirit. You ain't thinking about it, meditating on it, trying to make it happen. It just comes out of your spirit. 20-something years ago, I said to myself, and I remember sitting over at 404 East Washington, our church. I remember saying to myself, I don't really have a dream. Like, for me, my dream. I dream of helping other people make their dreams come true. Like, my dream is to help you realize your dream. And maybe soon after that, the whole I am the possible, and I and my possibilities are one and the same. Everything I hope to be tomorrow, I already am today. It was this concept of our potential, our possibilities, who we are and what God has created us to be, do, and to have. That's not some tomorrow thing. That's a today thing. It's already present. It's already in us. It's already with us. We are already it. And I believe that people knew that they already are, what confidence they could possibly walk in. If you knew that you are, and you're always going to be what you've always been. That's why I say that the greatest thing you will ever become is accepting of what you already are, because all you're going to ever do is increase in your capacity to be what you already are. That's all it is, right? That's when God gave me that revelation about the butterfly. 4 different stages, 4 different shapes, 4 different sizes, 4 different manifestations. Same thing. From the egg, I wish I had the graphic, but the 4 stages of a butterfly. Egg, which is the egg butterfly. It's already a butterfly, scientifically proven. Egg butterfly. Then it moves into a caterpillar, right? A larva, right? Which is still larva caterpillar, right? Caterpillar butterfly. It then moves into the pupa, right? Into that little cone where it's wrapped in its own shell. And then ultimately it breaks forth from that and it becomes the winged adult butterfly. But in all 4 stages, egg, caterpillar, pupa, butterfly, rather adult butterfly, it was always a butterfly. It looked different at every stage. It had different functions at every stage. It had different responsibilities at every stage, but it was the same at every stage. And you and I, we're no different. I don't even know why I shared that. That wasn't a part of what I meant to share today, but it came up, so maybe somebody needed it. If I continue, I'm just going to be rambling and just adding on. I hope and pray that you got what I wanted to share and what I wanted to encourage you in. I want to give you some takeaways, some things that you can do. Down in these show notes, if you're watching on the tube, and you should be watching on the tube, then in the show notes, in the description, there are links to some assessments that you can begin to take that will help you to begin to learn about you, to learn about what God gave you, to get a clue, to get some breadcrumbs around your destiny, what God created you for, what you should be thinking, what you should be producing, what you should be working toward. It's going to build you up. It's going to edify you. Because the more you know about yourself, the more you like yourself. Okay? I found that out. A lot of people who don't like themselves, it's not that they actually know themselves. They dislike something that they've been taught. It's not that you dislike you. You dislike what you've been taught to think about you. But that ain't you. Does that make sense? You got to learn what you really are before you can truly learn to love and accept yourself. The you that you've known up until this point that you don't like, that's probably not you. No. That's what you've been taught to believe is you. That's what you've been taught to believe about you. But when you see you, you will love you. You will like you. You will accept you. You will appreciate you. Yeah. When you finally meet you, instead of meeting what they taught you about you. Yeah. I want you to click the link if you are watching on the tube. It's in my description. If you are just listening to the audio version of this, it's going to also be in the description. Click that link. If you go to iamthepossible.com, I have a masterclass as well, free, exchange for your email. Yes, I want to build up my email list. Yes, it's an exchange, right? I don't try to hide that or try to whatever. You get the free masterclass with a bunch of other dope assessments and tools, and I get your email. And what I do is every so often I send you an email that says, here's the latest podcast episode, or here's the latest product that I have to offer. And if you don't want any of it, you delete. Simple as that. I do not spam. I do not spam. Okay. So I'm not that guy that's going to be hitting you up with 2 million follow-up emails trying to pressure you into my $99 course, and then my $2,000 course, and then my $20,000 course. No games here. You just get what you get. Okay. So listen, man, I want you to learn about you so that you can keep up with you. If you are keeping up with the Kardashians and you are living your best life and you love everything about what you're doing, and you're at a space and a place in your life where all is well, then do you. I'm not speaking to you. And that's totally okay. I'm speaking to the person. I'm coming alongside the person, the people that have been like me for so many years, so concerned with what other people are doing, so concerned with what other people got going on, that all of my projects, all of my passion projects, all of my visions, hopes, and dreams, all of the things that I wanted to accomplish and to achieve, the things that I wanted to produce, have been put on hold, or have been hindered, or have been delayed. I've accomplished a lot, but there are so many more things that I desire to accomplish. And when I do an assessment of my life, I'm coming to realize how much time I've been wasting engaging with other people's lives and their concerns and getting caught up in the madness, that it drains me of the energy that I need to then put forth into the things that I'm creating. And I just decided to say, hey, if it's a problem for me, it may be a problem for you as well. All right. Does that make sense? All right. So click the links, man. Take the assessments, learn about yourself, start to live yourself, start to love yourself.